What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Friday, August 14th, 2026, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 17:28 Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to update you guys with all the latest breaking news from around the world. So we have some major breaking news coming in from here in the US. So it looks like the US is in the process of revising its nuclear weapons strategy. So let me just read this to you. The U.S. is currently reviewing its nuclear strategy. Eldridge Kobe, the Undersecretary of Defense at the Pentagon, told journalists at a briefing on Thursday. According to the transcript, Colby spoke of a new, relatively narrow review relating more to a specific potential use of nuclear weapons. He said, obviously the goal here, I stress, is to maintain deterrence and stability. Colby also emphasized that the U.S. military had previously been organized in such a way that it could carry out regime change operations. It is now, however, being geared towards a defensive function of prevention with a focus on defending the territorial integrity of allies, he said. Last week, NBC News reported that Colby is currently working on a new nuclear strategy that includes the possible use of short-range tactical nuclear weapons in the event of a regional war with China or Russia. The U.S. media outlet based this report on information from 5 people familiar with the plans. So that's 5 sources confirming this in addition to Colby. Specifically, this concerns scenarios of regional wars in which U.S. allies could be threatened or attacked by either country. So they're talking about Taiwan being attacked. We would use potentially short-range nukes to protect Taiwan. And then if Russia attacked Poland or the Baltics, especially Poland, because there's a lot of U.S. troops in Poland, then we could use tactical nukes there as well. So this is major breaking news. And right now we have some interesting flights in the air. So we have at least 5 tactical airlift planes that left New Jersey and are heading over to Europe, specifically to Ireland and the UK. You can see 4 C-130s and a C-17 all leaving from McGuire Air Base in New Jersey, which is a major strategic and tactical airlift base. That's where they move all the high priority logistics to the Middle East or Europe when things are escalating. So this could be an indication of something going down potentially this weekend. And we know that Trump canceled his weekend plans to play golf at his golf club in New Jersey, and he's staying in D.C. this weekend. So maybe the U.S. is going to be striking Iran soon. I don't know, but we also had those high-priority Skymaster nuclear codes earlier this week on Wednesday. There were at least 10 of them. And then over 70 standard nuclear codes, which is like 3 or 4 times the normal amount in a given day. So something is going on. And right now we have a U.S. nuclear war command and control plane that's wrapping up a mission in the Gulf of America, communicating with submerged nuclear-armed submarines. And the Polish Prime Minister said a Russian plot to kill an American citizen in Warsaw was thwarted, with a suspect arrested on August 7th. Donald Tusk, the Prime Minister of Poland, called it the first situation of its kind in which someone acting on Russian orders targeted an American citizen on NATO territory. Wow. And speaking of Russia, there was this very suspicious explosion at an Italian ammunition factory near Rome yesterday, and many people, including myself, believe it was Russian sabotage. So this happened at the KNDS ammo factory in Colleferro, Italy, close to Rome. And apparently this factory produces various types of propellants like powders, like gunpowders, and medium and large caliber ammunition for land and naval forces. So I don't know. I think Russia had something to do with that. And last night, Iran launched a drone attack against northern Iraq, specifically targeting Erbil in Iraqi Kurdistan. And Latvia's military said that NATO shot down a drone yesterday that entered Latvian airspace. Okay, so most likely a Russian drone that was sent into Latvia to test NATO's responses, and it's good that NATO actually shot it down and didn't let it fly 60 miles like the missile that Russia launched into Poland that flew 60 miles. So this is huge, guys. Okay, Russia is testing NATO, and the next step is a full-on attack or invasion of Eastern Europe. And Finland's defense forces, that's the Finnish military, issued a aviation and sea restriction zone in the eastern Gulf of Finland, that's close to St. Petersburg, Russia, as a precautionary measure to ensure air defenses can safely intercept drones. Okay, so they're closing down the airspace closer to Russia, so if they have to shoot down drones. And Japan is now considering retaliatory measures against Russia after Putin visited the Kuril Islands, which under international law are considered Japanese, okay? And Israeli Channel 13 said that the commander of the U.S. Army Central Command, Admiral Brad Cooper, was pushing to resume attacks on Iran. Cooper visited Israel last week and participated in the Senior Operational Forum meeting in the Israeli Army with the Israeli Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir and all IDF generals and commanders. So very interesting. And this update was sponsored by NYPrepper Supply. Guys, NYPrepper Supply is doing a major sale on their 4-week emergency food supplies. And to get the deal, you got to use the link preparewithNYPrepper.com. The link is in the description down below. But you're going to get 2 4-week emergency food supplies for $416. That's 2 months of emergency food for $400. Where are you going to find a deal like that? This is freeze-dried food, has a 25-year shelf life, packed in 4 rugged, watertight buckets that don't take up a lot of space. So even if you live in a tiny apartment, you can still prep and have 2 months of food for just $400. Use the link preparewithNYPrepper.com to get the deal, and the link is in the description below this video. And Israeli Channel 13 also said that the head of U.S. Central Command informed Israel that striking Iran's infrastructure will change the rules of the game. So I don't know if he meant that in a negative way or in a positive way, or if he meant that just as a matter of fact that, you know, it's going to change things. I don't know, but that's the report. And the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the U.S. is preparing to send another aircraft carrier to replace the USS Abraham Lincoln deployed to the Middle East. They're going to be using the USS George Washington to swap out the Lincoln. And interestingly, this is coming just days after the reports that the Lincoln had a bunch of sailors that were trying to jump overboard because it was apparently the longest deployment at sea of any aircraft carrier, pushing on 9 months. Typically, they only go up to 6 months. And, you know, there was all kinds of reports that the food, they were running out of good food and all kinds of stuff. And the Houthis have claimed to have hit a Saudi Aramco oil refinery with 2 drones yesterday. And Saudi Arabia is considering backing a Yemeni ground offensive to retake the Red Sea coast from the Houthis, according to the Jerusalem Post. The move comes after Houthi ballistic missiles killed crew members on the commercial vessel Tahima in the Bab el-Mandeb Strait on Tuesday. And U.S. intelligence officials were skeptical of an alleged Iranian plot to assassinate Trump that was relayed by Israel and prompted his secret departure from Turkey aboard an alternate military aircraft. So if you guys remember that secret swap where Trump boarded the Air Force One, but then he escaped down into the food truck, and he was taken from Air Force One via the food truck to a secondary plane, and so he wasn't on Air Force One when he was flying to Turkey or from Turkey to Europe. So very, very interesting. It looks like U.S. intelligence did not believe that there was any threat. And the U.S. Air Force said they roughly lost 25% of their fleet of MQ-9 Reaper drones since the start of the Iran war, accounting for at least 45 drone airframes, each costing between $30 and $50 million on the loadout. 3 U.S. officials familiar with the matter tell Washington Post. Okay, so 25% of our MQ-9 Reapers, 50% of our Patriot missiles, and 80% of our THAAD missiles so far. That's very, very bad. And Israel is astonished at Iran's rapid military rebuild following the U.S.-Iran war, the Jerusalem Post reports. The report states that Tel Aviv believes Iran will rebuild to pre-war levels by 2027 and become a major threat again by 2028. And the UAE said 2 ships belonging to ADNOC, which is Abu Dhabi's state oil company and one of the world's largest energy producers, were attacked in the Strait of Hormuz yesterday, probably by Iran. And a U.S. official told News Nation that Trump has always been clear that he will not allow Iran to possess a nuclear weapon. At the same time, he has emphasized that he prefers a diplomatic solution, but he is still keeping all options on the table if Iran continues to refuse to reach an agreement. And an Iranian drone struck a tanker that was exiting the Persian Gulf through the Strait of Hormuz, according to the British Maritime Trade Organization. So Iran is still actively attacking ships, guys. They attacked those 2 Abu Dhabi oil tankers, another oil tanker. So Iran, they don't care about what Trump is saying, that, you know, there's peace imminent. That's just a bunch of BS, basically. And at Friday prayers in Tehran, the capital of Iran, the Imam Ahmad Khatami said Iran's missile capabilities had humiliated the U.S., adding that Washington had sought but failed to destroy them. He said it was this missile capability that humiliated America, and God willing, this will continue in the future. Wow. And Ukrainians claim they destroyed a Russian transport carrying missiles from North Korea. The attack reportedly took place in Siberia, 6,000 kilometers from Ukraine. Wow. And Taiwan slowed mobile internet speeds for 30 minutes on Thursday during its annual Han Kuang military exercise, simulating a Chinese attack on communications infrastructure. Sirens sent millions into shelters as part of the drill to prepare the island for a potential Chinese invasion. And we have some sad news coming out of Washington, D.C. Looks like the World War II memorial was vandalized. You can see somebody put a bunch of soap in the pools at the World War II memorial, so you can see all the soap suds. I mean, that is just totally sick. There's a lot of weirdos in DC that, use drugs and, probably not mentally there. But that's it for now. I will be back later on tonight with another update. And until then, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere. And before I continue with the breaking news, I wanted to mention the sponsor for this update, which is Matt Hat Jerky. Guys, if you're a beef jerky lover like myself, you got to try Matt Hat Jerky. This is the best beef jerky I've ever had. I personally met the owner of this company at SHOT Show, and he's actually local to Pennsylvania. This company has an interesting story behind it. He founded this company when he was 11 years old. Yeah, that's right, 11 years old. He's now 19, and he makes gourmet beef jerky, the best jerky I've ever had. He's got over a dozen different flavors, and it's all sourced with U.S. beef, so no foreign beef, no nitrates, and no MSG. So it's all natural American beef jerky. And if you use my promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And you got to go to matthatjerky.com, and I'm going to leave a link in the description down below. That's matthatjerky.com, one word, matthatjerky.com. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off your entire order, and the link and the promo code are in the description down below.